father from Maryland, held at this notorious mega prison in what is his home country. Now, he was under an order from 2019 that did protect him from being deported to that country, to his own country, after coming here to the U.S. illegally in 2011. The administration says he has ties to a gang, to MS-13. His family denies that claim. Let's put this together now and have a discussion with John Sandweg, as the former ICE director in the Obama years. Welcome back, John, as always. Thoughts on this? So Roberts has put it on pause, and your thoughts kind of on the validity of the arguments.
Connell, I'm not surprised the Supreme Court stepped in, given the stakes at issue here.
Okay.
This is really, in many ways, this case has become symbolic of this question the administration is raising about the authority of these judges. And look, this case only pertains to Abrego Garcia, right? But there's this Judge Boasberg case in D.C. that impacts the fate of all the Venezuelans deported to El Salvador under the Alien Enemies Act. I'm not surprised the Supreme Court stepped in to kind of just get a pause and think this through, but this is a difficult case. You have the administration saying, hey, we don't have any control over the facility in El Salvador, what the El Salvadoran government does.
Right.
But at the same time, the violation here, Connell, couldn't be more clear. He was given protection by an immigration court after ICE, back 7, 8 years ago, accused him of being an MS-13 member. He was given an order, giving him protection. He should not have been deported. It was a serious mistake on ICE's part.
No, there's no doubt the mistake was made. We know that from another court filing, and they've admitted as much. Let me put up a statement just in from Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, who welcomes the stay from the Supreme Court as we continue to fight this case, protect the executive branch from judicial overreach. To your point on the judges, and that's what this is really about. There's so many stories kind of surrounding this administration that are about just this, even the tariffs to some extent, executive power. And we said on some of the other stories, they're going to fight this all the way to the Supreme Court, and in this case, it's already there.
Yeah, Connell, it's inevitable. It's coming to a head at some point. I think that some of the Supreme Court probably wants to look for a way to kind of punt this back and delay having to have this moment of reckoning where the court takes a stand onto what the judicial, branch's authority is vis-a-vis kind of overviewing or reviewing these executive decisions. But it's coming to a head in cases like this where you have a clear violation, a judicial order, a midnight deadline. They're much bigger than just this individual case. It gets to that larger question of what is the role of the courts versus what is the authorities the president holds.
So to me, there's a distraction in this case to some extent as we're arguing, hey, what kind of guy was he? What's his background? They're always associated with MS-13. Let's just say for argument that he is a gang member, or that he has done terrible things when he was a kid in El Salvador, whatever it is. Doesn't have a criminal record as far as we know here in the U.S. But let's just say he is, and that it was someone that we wanted to have deported from this country. But the fact of the matter is he had that order in place, right? So how do we prevent something like this from happening to someone else? There could be all kinds of people that could be subject to this if they're going to do it to this guy, right? The precedent.
Yeah, Connell, as a matter of law, that whether or not he was a current member of MS-13 is irrelevant. He had a court order in place saying you can't be deported. Now, there's a mechanism. ICE could try again to bring new removal charges or go to the court and say change circumstances, new evidence. But I think the bigger question here is that, the administration is taking the position that we can deport people into this alien enemies without due process. So we individually can make determinations. There's an element of, this reeks of questions of competency. You had a guy who had a legal court order in place and somehow the system failed. And look, ICE, I worked with ICE. They care. They want to do the right thing. They want to follow the law. Mistakes happen. And that's what that due process is for. And it's a minor inconvenience, but you can still deport gang members and give them their day in court. They're not mutually exclusive. But that day in court gives you the opportunity or minimizes the chances that things like this are going to happen. So it certainly raises broader questions about how accurate were our decisions on the 250 or so Venezuelans who were deported, under the alien enemies. It certainly calls into question the accuracy of these decisions.
I think, there are credibility questions here. Even if you agree with the policy goals, there are still credibility questions on execution that matter because precedent matters because, be careful what you wish for if it's happening to someone in your family eventually. Thank you, John. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.